Once you get these math numbers down, as you're setting things up quickly, lighting quickly, exposing quickly, everyone's gonna be like, whoa, this guy knows what he's doing. And that's the thing, is like, you kind of know what you're doing. You know a number, but you just gotta stay consistent. What's going on, guys? Today, finally doing a video I've been waiting to do for a while now, where I'm going to be going through the cinematography and lighting of Dune, directed by Denis Villeneuve and shot by Greg Fraser. If you haven't seen these types of videos before, this is the frame by frame series. It's intended for, like, you know, beginner, intermediate, even advanced cinematographers, where I am going to go into my estimations of how they lit and shot a scene. We're to kind of dissect it from there, almost like a fun little course type of deal. But yeah, with all of that out of the way, this is frame by frame. Alrighty guys, so today we're going to be going over frame by frame. I made a little credits card for this video. I think I'm going to use these in the future. But yeah, the director of this work was Denis Villeneuve. Fantastic director. If you haven't seen most of his work, you should. And the DP is Greg Fraser. Greg Fraser's kind of the, you know, on the rise right now because of he's shot a lot of famous work. He shot Rogue One, Dune, The Batman, and many other films. And he's kind of at the forefront of stylistic blockbuster filmmaking right now. And then also edited by Joe Walker, fantastic editor. He's edited most of Denis' work. He just has a very graceful style in his edit. You know, films like Arrival would never be the success they would have been without somebody like Joe Walker to steer that story. And then production designer, we got Patrice Vermette. Never heard of the name before, but I have to put him here because of the fantastic work done by the production design team and art direction as well. And the format of Dune is actually Alexa LF, which is a large format digital ARRI Alexa camera, then converted to 35mm print film, and then also scanned back to a digital delivery, which gave them a specific texture that you will see throughout the film. But yeah, let's start the first shot. So right off the bat, I want to start off with close-ups, because honestly I think close-ups are the main story of the cinematography of Dune. I know it's easy to get lost in the grand, you know, perfect shots with symmetry, visual effects, everything. To me, the reason why this film works so well from a visual standpoint comes down to, first off, the photography of the characters, and then the specific decisions of when to, you know, go for the close-up or when to go for the wide, and things like that start to really stand out in this film. So one of the main challenges of the film is they had to get these, you know, blue eyes working for the audience, because if anyone's seen the Lynchian version, it is quite striking, and it's, you know, kind of hokey to a lot of people. I think they did a good job with these blue eyes. And then this is actually one of the first shots of the film, where the film opens with them describing the planet Arrakis, the minefields, the Harkonnens, and I think the first close-up of the film is actually this shot of Chani. But yeah, this framing right here, you know, placing the actors just center right, this is very common. You'll see this throughout the rest of the film. And then also it appears that they're shooting this in wide open. So when you're shooting in large format, you get a very distinct look when you shoot wide open, and I think that's, you know, what they were going for here. In terms of lighting, like, you can see, like, it's a little bit of soft lighting coming in here, but the big thing about Greg Fraser is you can't really always tell where the light's coming from with him. It's always, you know, underexposed, soft, but it's at that level where it's like very minute and very dialed in. And a lot of DPs today will try to emulate this style. I mean, they get diminishing returns here and there. Like, I've seen people do it well, I've seen people try, but Greg Fraser is something about his style. It's like you see an image and it's like, oh, that's shot by Greg Fraser, which is, you know, that's all you can want from a career, from a cinematographer. So yeah, let's go to the next shot. When we got to this shot, you will see that this is, you know, similar framing from the last close-up. But in this case, we have the villain framed pretty much center screen right now. And then we're also getting a soft top light right here hitting his, you know, shoulder, and then kind of going into like Rembrandt lighting or a little bit of chiaroscuro with the shadow here. And this is Dave Bautista playing Raban, which is, you know, one of the lead villains in the film. He's like the nephew, I believe, of the Baron, who is the main villain of the film. And almost every frame of him in the film is supposed to make him feel like menacing or alien. And in this case, this is kind of like a shot where it makes him grand and alien to me. And I think right after this shot is a really incredible wide shot of Arrakis, but I will show that later in the video. So yeah, let's go to the next shot. So here we got Paul, also center framed, you know, wide open close up here. Very distinctly similar to the previous close-ups. And once again, another, you know, off angle, high top light coming in soft, supposed to emulate the outdoors and stuff like that. And I think this is on Caledon, which is the beginning of the film, which is like a water, you know, Earth type of planet where they all live. And they don't show you much of the planet, but they do show you that it's very nautical. So like you're getting blue sun coming through the windows, and you know, the sun is changing a lot. So here as well, I think this is the first shot you see of Paul Atreides, who is our protagonist. He's speaking to his mother at a dinner table, and it's just this simple shot where you just have to get a nice close-up of the character and just, you know, nail their presence. And for me personally, when I read Dune a couple years back, I tried to imagine, like, you know, Paul Atreides, like, how does he look? It's because they describe him as this like young man who has like this energy to him where he's like older and wise. He also has this energy behind him on the other side of the coin where he's like naive and he has ego and he's still a kid. And I think the casting of Timothée Chalamet like nails that perfectly, because Timothée Chalamet can flip between being a kid who doesn't know what he's doing to also be like a boy becoming a man type of deal. You know, in terms of the rest of the image, it's just, you know, beautiful, shallow depth of field, and then it helps that costume design's on point, production design behind is, you know, incredible. So there's not much to do here other than capture the actor, and that's a big thing. So yeah, it's extremely important as a cinematographer with a story like this to not overdo the subject matter. Like, you already have a great actor that you're working with, you have a great story, and you have so much going on just at the human level that the best thing you can do is just plop a camera down, shoot a close-up, and just let them run with it. So yeah, so we'll go to the next one. So this close-up's a little different. So we're getting Lady Jessica, who is Paul's mother. This is right when the Empire arrives to declare that they have to then take control of Arrakis. It's a very intense scene because of the implications, because it's basically a suicide mission that they're getting tasked with. And you know, Lady Jessica is a Bene Gesserit sister, so she has like one half of herself as she's almost like a space nun or Jedi type of deal, and then the other half is she's a, you know, consort for the king, and she has a son, and she's still a mother after all. Yeah, this is another key example where if I was to like look for the lighting here, like I can't tell you where the lighting's coming from here, other than, you know, right about here you get a little edge. Other than that, it's just a soft, you know, big ambient source, probably a very large source, you know, dialed in just right that the audience is really connecting with it. And then also, as you can see, we're getting a little bit of highlight right here where you can see it. You can see a streak of light in her eyes right there. And even right there, I mean, I can't zoom in right now, but that looks like a fixture of like 5 or 6 lights right there in her eye, which actually could be the digital Sputnik array that Greg Fraser likes to use. That's pretty funny. I never noticed that. So yeah, let's take a look at the false color of this, because that will give you guys a really good example of what values work for people, you know, aesthetically when it comes to exposure. So yeah, let me turn on the Predator Vision real quick. Okay, so we got the false color up. I loaded this into Premiere. It's like a plugin. It's actually pretty useful. And as I can see here is I got the 40 to 50 IRE range, which is, you know, 50 IRE is middle gray, so if you take a reading with your light meter, it will hit you here. We got just under there, we got the green color right here. So most of her face, you know, the midtones of her face are getting taken up with 40 to 50 IRE, which is, you know, that's right around like the filmic ranges, because, you know, some people think you're supposed to, like, you know, get white skin tones to 60 or 70 IRE, because most people get trained to do it through like zebras or whatever. And the thing is the film world is there's this massive array of how you can expose someone's skin. You can go all the way down to 20, 30 IRE on Caucasian skin, or, you know, you can really play with it. And what you'll notice is it'll quite surprise you. And most of the time it's actually, things should be lower than what you estimated them to be at to get the look you want. For this scene, he doesn't really want to separate her from the background too much. He just kind of wants to blend her in. And this shot is really about getting, you know, the expression on the actor's face, and most importantly, the eyes are the big catcher in this shot. But as you can see, the rest of her face is just over 50 to 60 IRE right here. It's getting into that light gray region. And then on her eyes, you can see just like glimmers of pink right here, which is the 60 and 70 IRE right here. You can see that. And then the thing is behind, you can see this dark gradient all the way to a middle gray right here. You can see it's taking up this. So you can see right here, this region of the background is taking up this range right here, which is the 20 to 40 IRE. In summary, you have the actor is being around 40 IRE on the low end. I'd say about 35 IRE to 55 IRE for the actor's face, the scale of their face. And then behind them is only about 20 to 40 IRE. So you're only really getting like, that's like a stop or two difference between the actor and the background. So it's really not that grand, honestly. And then one last thing I would say here is that there is no hotspots here. The only hotspot that you see is, you know, you'll see 60 and 70 over here, but that's the actual range of the image is around 15 to 70 IRE. That's the full range of the image. So, you know, common people will say you need to get the full latitude of the image. You need to get, your blacks need to hit 0 and your whites need to hit 100. And, you know, a lot of times that's not really the case for cinema. If you know your math and you keep your IRE scales in mind, you can, you know, work quickly and you can arrive at like a, you know, semi-cinematic image. If you're shooting a scene like this and you light her and you really like this, and you get her skin tones to this level, you know, around 40, 50 IRE, and then when you move to shoot somebody else who has similar skin tones, you already know off the bat, we got to get the light, you know, similar level on him or her or whatever. You know, if you're shooting somebody with like a different skin complexion, like darker skin, you can just, you know, turn it up just a little bit, but nothing crazy. And it's just having those levels in mind as you're shooting through a film. You know, you might be very tired, you might be going shot to shot, long day. But the thing is if you have these mathematical values in mind, it makes your job as a DP like so much easier, and it's just so less magical work where it's less like, oh, can you turn that up? Can you turn that down? Less talking to the director, whatever. And then once you get these math numbers down, as you're setting things up quickly, lighting quickly, exposing quickly, everyone's gonna be like, whoa, this guy knows what he's doing. And that's the thing is like, you kind of know what you're doing, you know a number, but you just gotta stay consistent. And then if you're, you know, super precise on this shot and then the next shot is like, you know, semi-precise or whatever, that's fine. That's the ebbs and flows of exposure. And actually, when you have more up and down in your exposure throughout a film, that actually can make it feel more like a film, because, you know, it's a little irregular, just a little bit. So all right, let's go to the next shot. I just want to show this shot quickly because this is Paul's close-up, and as you can see, similar style to the previous shot with Lady Jessica. You know, it's a little further out, it's not as intense, but, you know, pretty much similar lighting. So if you look at the false color right here, it's just like I said, right here on his skin, you got the green, which is the 40 to 50 IRE range. That's taking up like the midtones of his face. And then on the high end, you're getting the 60, 70. And, you know, he has a similar skin tone to his mother. So like I said, like, it's as simple as just exposing, you know, slightly similar to, you know, make the scene match and make it work. And then once again behind him, you're getting about a stop to 2 stops difference. So, you know, right here in this dark gray, you get about 20, 30 IRE. And then on his skin, you would have about 40, 50, 60. So you cut that in half. You cut 40 in half, you get to 20. If you go 40 IRE to 20 IRE, that's a stop of light because it's half, because we move in doubles. So 1 stop of light is double the amount of light, or vice versa, half the amount of light, stuff like that. So yeah, as you can see here, it's really not that complicated to shoot characters in a cinematic way. Once you have it dialed in on one shot and you're doing close-up after close-up and they're both standing in the same lighting, it really comes down to keeping your exposures consistent and knowing the numbers in mind. So here I'll just show a little comparison. And yeah, as you can see, very similar shot. They both pull off similar things here. It's just Lady Jessica's shot is, you know, a bit more memorable because of the eyes and closer to the actor's face, and also her headdress is very striking in the shot. But yeah, good stuff. Let's go on to the next thing. All right, so here I got a little fun comparison here because I went into this movie thinking like, could this be the next Lord of the Rings? Like, I know it sounds cliche, but it's just, the thing is I left the theater and it felt like I watched Lord of the Rings. It felt similar. It felt like I was watching like Lord of the Rings in space. But yeah, I left the theater and I was like, there's something that felt similar about Lord of the Rings compared to Dune. And I think one of the main things for me that was similar was, once again, the close-ups. Because, you know, here you have Frodo, main character of Lord of the Rings, and then you have Paul Atreides, main character of Dune. And throughout both films, or the trilogy of Lord of the Rings, there's many moments where, you know, Paul or Frodo gets challenged and they have to like make a choice. And many of the close-ups I saw them are shot in similar ways. I mean, Lord of the Rings has a different style here and there. I think Denis Villeneuve learned something from Lord of the Rings, and so did Greg Fraser, where if you're shooting this like massive fantasy and you have to tell this grand story, you're also reminded reading the book that it's all about the characters. So we really don't have to spend that much time on the world around us, or, you know, medium shots, wide shots. It's like we can condense scenes down to so much where we show this grand thing, we as the audience experience it, and then we have to then experience the reaction or the action of it through the character. And the best way to do that is just do close-ups, especially with a film like, you know, Dune or Lord of the Rings, where so much of the story is just, you know, what's going on in the character's head, what decisions are they going to make. It's not so much like he's going to fight this guy or he's going to fight this guy. It's really not. So much of these films is just the story of the mind and the story of humanity. So yeah, I really was amazed looking at old images of Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, noticing the similarities. So here, similar thing as well. I know the Aragon shot is different than Zendaya's shot, but or Shawnee's shot, my bad. But it is a similar thing where even though these are side characters, you have to keep it consistent. There needs to be, you know, close-ups where you're getting into the psyche of each character, you know, at certain moments in the story. Like, they may be side characters, but they're very integral to the plot. And it's just funny how you have like this shot of Aragon with a 1,000-yard stare, and the same thing with Shawnee. You know, they're also both side lit with, like, you know, Rembrandt lighting. Yeah, it's just quite a cool comparison, and I don't hear enough comparison between Lord of the Rings and Dune. But I actually think with time, you know, when we have like Dune Part 2 finished, or maybe they make Dune Messiah, you know, 10, 20 years from now, we might be talking about the two movies like very closely together. Because honestly, I think Dune shares more similarities with Lord of the Rings than it does with most science fiction films. But just because of the way that the film is shot and the way that the characters tell the story, and, you know, this, that, and the other. So let's go to the next shot. I want to show some BTS just because it's quite interesting, because you can kind of get a look at how they lit certain stuff. But yeah, let's look right here. So up here you can see there's like some type of fixture up here that's striking down in the windows, and then right here you can see that's like a Fresnel light that's like streaking this. But the cool thing is the production design is like completely full size. Like, they made these long hallways, these long rooms, they made them empty. Like, look at all this space they got to set up the dolly. Like, it's wonderful, to be honest. I mean, having money, like having all this money to do all this stuff, it's great, right? So you can have a ton of stuff done like this. And you saw this on, you know, Denis Villeneuve's previous film, Blade Runner 2049. You saw the impact of these large sets, like, you know, Jared Leto's mega base and all these things. The possibilities become pretty endless. With Dune, it's really simple. Like, we're following Paul Atreides. We need to see him navigate the world. We need to see him in new places. And a lot of times it's as simple as, you know, placing him in a alien designed room, one light streaking across a wall, almost putting him in silhouette. You know, just doing simple, like, you know, lighting tricks, just putting you in the shoes of the character. And that's all you have to do there. And that's the thing is, with stories as old as this and as timeless as this, a lot of times the solution is just right in front of you, and it's just so simple. You just need to go for it and just trust your instincts. And I think that's what Greg Fraser did. So let's go next shot. I like seeing this shot as well because it's another behind the scenes here. And, you know, I love seeing this because I get to see a fixture right here, which looks like a top 4x4, probably 8x8. I can't tell the type of paper or tissue it is, but top light through a frame over the actor. And once again, this is like very simple. You have him in this key moment in the book where he's testing his psyche in front of the Reverend Mother. He's in this like, you know, ominous library with her, and they just keep it so simple. Like all they have is just that soft frame lighting him down, giving him that soft top light. You know, everybody knows The Godfather's opening scene has a very famous soft top light. And then underneath here you have like bounce. I think that's like a, you know, a kicker light or something with a little bit of bounce. But then here, that's probably bouncing up into his, like, you know, nose and cheek area, stuff like that. You know, just giving you a little bit of ambient towards the actor here, which, you know, probably coming under from here. And then this, as you can see, is this is the frame going down. But that's really all you need. Like, there's not much to talk about here other than they probably took the time to set it up perfectly. They took the time to expose it just right, have somebody stand in, you know, get it to taste. They didn't rush it. And then, you know, once they have that well, they can shoot everything with Paul. And then when they reverse to the Reverend Mother, they can, you know, just sweeten up the image a little bit. Maybe they add a little more bounce for her, you know, change her features, add a little kicker light, stuff like that. But the main thing for, you know, cinematic, simple setups is you have to get your main key perfect. Start with the main key and then work from there. That's the easiest way to do it. Let's go next shot. So here I want to talk about, you know, the simple but very effective wide shots. And a lot of times cinematographers have trouble shooting wide shots. I mean, when I was going through film school, I always thought like my wide shots were bad and I thought I had to do better. But it actually helped me a lot by just, you know, doing photography as a hobby here and there, because it gets you to think more compositionally when you're shooting a wide shot instead of just like shooting whatever you made. But yeah, this is like a shot that you'll see on like Instagram or whatever, on like One Perfect Shot, you know, classic, like, you know, center balance frame. And then you got the 3 windows here. It's a really good production design. But yeah, this is very common nowadays to be like this big shot that everyone tends to fall in love with. But honestly, like, it's pretty freaking striking. And then you have like the flaring right here. I'm not sure if they use anamorphic lenses, but this flaring right here is very good. And then I love the light coming in here through the tree. I mean, if you even look closely enough, you can see the edges of the light right there. Like, this is definitely just a stage, and that's just through some paper and stuff like that. But yeah, that's really all you need. Again, is you have, you know, this is providing backlight that's edging on her, and then it's barely even getting most of him. And then the rest of it, probably behind this light right here, they probably have like a very large fixture just hitting all this diffusion back here that's lighting it up. But, you know, you can't see the direction. You know, some circles will think like, oh, you need more light on him. But you really don't. Like, you just need to get most of the scene. Like, we can see the actors. We can see the edge light. We can see, you know, we can get the vibe of the scene right now. And yeah, this reminds me of something I had a cinematography teacher who told me this, and it's just such a simple thing. It's like, just light what you want to see. That's it. Just light what you want to see. What's important, what's not important. It's really as simple as that. Once you get down to that concept of lighting, you can do so much. All right, let's move on to the next thing. So this was the wide shot that I was talking about. It comes right after that close-up of Raban. And I absolutely love this shot. When I was in the theater, I saw this in IMAX, and it just has, like, you know, the Hans Zimmer score is just like blaring. It's so ominous. It's so alien. And then you get this wide shot of Raban just looking over this, you know, armada of ships as they're leaving the planet because their contract ran up. Oh my god, just this shot, you know, it has symmetry to it, but it's also broken up. I love like the brutalism of everything, like all these like barrels and all the ships are just completely like identical. They just go on for miles. You got even balloons up here with Harkonnen guys flying off. Yeah, this type of thing, when I see a shot like this, I'm just like, oh, this is what I'm like, you know, bumping my friend next to me in the theater saying like, this is fucking great. So yeah, let's go to the next shot. This shot's funny because if I showed this shot in like a Blade Runner 2049 frame by frame, people would probably think it's from Blade Runner 2049. But this is actually the base of the Harkonnens. You know, deep in here, the Baron is, you know, probably doing a mud bath or whatever. But yeah, this is, you know, looks almost like an entire visual effects shot. Again, it has the symmetry, it has the brutalism, it has the dialed in exposure, all the things that you're looking for in a Dune wide shot. And it just shows just enough to get your imagination moving, and you're like, all right, what's inside there? So yeah, next shot. So this is actually a big moment wide shot. This is actually, I think this is after Duncan Idaho fights all the Sardaukar in the hallway to protect Paul Atreides. And they're just like finding him dead, I believe. Yeah, I think that's him right there. But this shot's so fucking striking. Like, look at the streaks of light coming off of the walls here, and even just the even just the texture right here on the walls. It has so much character. Like, you can literally see this looks like someone just, you know, carved this in or just painted that over. And the sand, you know, kind of going up. And then, of course, you have all the soldiers on the ground dead with the blood spattered. There's so much contrast in this shot. There's so much, you know, depth in this shot. And it's just this, I don't know. It's this reverence for the material is like, you know, if you read this on the script, this shot will just say like, oh, they find Duncan Idaho on the ground after the battle. And it's probably just one line or whatever in the action, and you know, you wouldn't think this stuff up. But that's the thing, is the crew on this film, they had such an appreciation for the story that they just took the time to, you know, set the camera high up and just get this grand, you know, medium wide shot of the scene. I mean, even like slight details on this where you have, you know, silhouettes back here of the rest of the soldiers finding them. Well, I actually noticed that these are just Sardaukar guys finding the battle after. So these are actually still the enemy finding Duncan Idaho dead. But yeah, there's not much I can say about this shot. I mean, it pretty much speaks for itself. I mean, most of the wide shots in Dune speak for themselves. And that's one of the things about Dune that's really interesting, about almost like why it took me a while to, like, you know, decide to just make this video, is because I'm like, you know, researching so much about this film, and when I look at the, you know, the source material, when I look at the images, it's like everything just clicks with me. Like, I look at it, I'm like, oh, that's an amazing shot. But then it's so hard to actually like actualize, like, why is that a good shot? Like, why does that work? Why did everyone leave the theater saying this is amazing cinematography? And I think it just comes down to simplicity and just knowing the material like through and through. It's a poetic, grand, sometimes violent story told in such a simple but dialed in, effective approach. There's truly like no fat in the cinematography of this film. There was no shots where I was like, I didn't really need that, or there's no close-ups where like, all right, we're talking to this guy a little too long. Everything just clicks. It's just really cool to see this, because to watch films from Greg Fraser and then to see him, you know, kind of coming to his own, almost in his prime, I'd say, in the last couple of years, has been a treat to watch. So yeah, if you guys liked with this video, if you have any questions or comments on the things that were brought up in this video, if there's any things that I left out in the video that you want to know about, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, I apologize for not making any frame by frame videos for a while. I just kind of had other things going on. But yeah, I think I'll be doing a frame by frame on either Phantom Thread or the Batman next. So yeah, vote on that below, and then we'll go from there. So yeah, I hope you guys like this video, and go watch Dune again. Brew yourself a coffee. Have a great day. Peace.